At the end of the 60s, The Who and Pete Townshend were finding their way at the end of the British invasion era. Little did they know that their next project would become one of the most iconic collections of music of the entire period. This is my series where I'm talking about the 5 albums that The Who released during their peak Keith Moon era. And today is the big one, The Pinball Wizard, Tommy. Pete Townshend had been introduced recently to the spiritual teachings of Indian mystic philosopher Meher Baba, who preached the concepts of love, self-realization, and unity of all life. In the 1920s, he took a vow of silence as a means of moving beyond the limitations of language. This new, fascinating interest of Pete's was the initial inspiration for the rock opera that he would later call Tommy. He called it Tommy because he was looking for a bland, simple, British-sounding name. The story would be about a deaf, mute, and blind boy, who became this way as a result of witnessing a terrible traumatic event and turning inward. The other inspiration for this story, of course, was Pete's own life. He was born to musician parents less than 2 weeks after VE Day in London. At 3 years old, due to his parents' complicated touring schedule, he was sent to live with his mentally unstable grandmother on the coast. She was terribly abusive, subjecting the poor kid to cruel punishments. Eventually, a neighbor noticed and called his father, who came and rescued him. All of this was embedded in the story that Pete created around this character Tommy and his journey towards self-discovery and redemption. Tommy was huge. The Who were already big before with songs like My Generation, I Can't Explain, but Tommy took them to a new level. This was 1969. The standard for musical greatness had never been so high, and Pete Townshend confidently took his place among the top contributors. A huge part of the success of Tommy was the live performance of it, usually done in its entirety. Pete emphatically doing the windmill and his ultimately doomed guitar in an all-white suit so he could be seen from a distance, even in a dark theater. John Entwistle, the heartbeat, thumping away on his bass. The stoic statue, surrounded by chaos. Roger Daltrey, prancing around the stage like a gang leader, directing the crowd. And Keith Moon, unleashing the depths of his insanity on his unexpected drum kit. It was all so wild and captivating and electric. One of the things that I thought was really interesting that Pete said about his performance of Tommy was that they always felt that at a certain point in the performance, they would look out into the crowd and see that people were in a prayer-like state, connecting with something greater than themselves through the music. The Who had had major hits before, but they never had the impact that Tommy did, and topping it was going to be the challenge of Pete Townshend's lifetime. If you want to learn more about the peak era of The Who's career and all of the debauchery that came with it, follow the link in my bio for my latest documentary, streaming now on Patreon.